Hello everyone and welcome to a new video from Your Overwatch. I'm Eddie the Chump and today we're going to be making maths fun. Impossible, I hear you cry, but don't worry, we're going to try and take something very complex, how the newly nerfed armor affects interactions with various damage sources, and explain it in a simple way so that everyone can get a good grasp on it. Now, on the face of it, the nerf seems massive as armor went from reducing incoming hits by 5 to 3. This counts for every individual hit, so weapons that consist of lots of smaller hits are affected more than big chunky burst ones. But there is an added condition. On the live server, where armor isn't yet nerfed, if that modifier of 5 is more than half of the incoming total damage, it will instead just do half of the base damage value. That sounds complicated, but isn't. I'll use Tracer as an example. She does 6 damage per bullet and shoots twice because she has 2 guns. Now, instead of the 5 being taken away from the combined 12, it's applied to each hit. But 5 is more than half of the 6 total, so instead armor nerfs her damage by 3, meaning each shot does 3. Headshots are obviously different, so a headshot will do 12, which does incur the full 5 damage reduction, leaving it at a paltry 7 per shot. Now, the reason I brought Tracer up is because actually the nerfed armor on the PTR leaves her damage exactly the same as long as we're talking about body shots. PTR armor reduces by 3, which is half of her base 6, leaving her with 3 overall, exactly like live. However, and this is what you really need to grasp about nerfed armor, her headshot damage is now better. She does 12 per shot, reduced by the new value of 3, meaning each headshot now does 9 damage instead of 7 like it does on live. 2 points of damage doesn't sound like a lot, but consider the fact that she technically fires twice and has 40 ammo, it can really start to make a difference. All of this means that against old and new armor, if you were to hit every bullet into the body, you would do 120 damage overall, but to the head, you will now do 360 damage on the PTR instead of the live server value of 280. Now, one has to ask oneself, how often will you hit all 40 bullets into the head? Not that often, but certainly against tanks, who tend to have the most armor and biggest headshot hitboxes, you will end up doing more damage overall if you can hit those headshots more often. This will also improve some key interactions for her, one of which is how she can struggle against ultimates like Brigitte's Rally. Rally gives teammates a max of 100 armor at any one time, but it can channel up to 300 over the 10 seconds that it's active for. On live, she could really struggle to chew through that max amount, but with nerfed armor, she stands a better chance. Bear in mind, an already armored target like ORISA would have 300 total armor very quickly. Tracer hitting her with every bullet in the face wouldn't even hit health on live. On PTR, that's not the case. Another notable example of this body shot versus headshot improvement is Roadhog. Roadhog's scrap gun has different values to Reaper's shotgun in that it does a max of 6 damage to the body per pellet, 1 point lower than Reaper's 7, but has 25 pellets per shot instead of Reaper's 20. So because each pellet's base damage to the body is 1 less, new armor doesn't affect it as the reduction of 3 still reduces it in half. However, when we're talking about headshots, which when you think about Roadhog is very applicable, post-hook for example, his damage against new armor will be improved. There, each pellet will do 12 minus the 3 of new armor, leaving him with 9 instead of the 7 it is on live. Times that by 25 pellets, you get 225 damage in comparison to his old max, which was 175. That's quite a hefty boost, and perhaps most importantly, is now capable of punching through to the actual health of targets with the largest armor pools in the game, like ORISA and D.Va, who both have 200. That is significant, and although hitting absolutely every pellet to the head can be a rarity in an actual match, his overall efficiency against it is improved. This should also make it easier for him to confirm kills on a target like Brig post-hook. She only has 50 armor as standard, but I'm sure as many of you will know, sometimes in the heat of a game with everyone moving around so fast in multiple planes, a hooked Brig isn't a certain kill on live 100% of the time. Now, this should be a little bit easier. But what happens if your damage is below this 6 damage threshold per hit? Well, if your headshot value doesn't get over that either, you won't see any improvement against new armor. And if you can't headshot, like Winston, then I'm sorry to report, yeah, you'll just have to ignore all the benefits your teammates with actual guns might be getting. At least there's always peanut butter to comfort eat, right? D.Va is another character who won't see any benefit with her main weapon, as its headshot value of 4 is too low to see any gains. Hammond, however, is a different story. His base damage to the body of 5 will mean that his damage is unchanged against new armor, but headshots, again, it's a different story. On live, this value of 10 per bullet is cut in half by 5, but on the PTR it's only taken down to 7, meaning hitting all bullets in the head will give him a total of 560 possible damage on the PTR versus 400 on live. Now, nothing in the game has 400 armor anyway, and you're very unlikely to hit every bullet in the head, but on average, against big headshot hitboxes, his efficiency will improve in a very similar way to Tracer if he can land those red hit markers. So now let's talk about some of those characters whose damage is above that threshold and therefore will see a benefit with both body shots and headshots. Sombra, Soldier and ORISA are characters who will see some fairly significant improvements against new armor. Let's deal with Soldier and Sombra first, as they are both good at taking off angles against tanks, but with different methodologies. As FREEDO put it when we were testing, they both spend a lot of time shooting D.Va in the back. Well, Sombra's max damage to the body against armor has gone up to 300 on the PTR from 240 on live, and her headshot potential has risen to 780 from 660. Soldier, or Mr. High Ground as I like to call him, has had his body shot potential go from 350 on live to 400 on the PTR, and his headshot maximum has improved to 875 compared to 825 as it is in your matches right now. ORISA, whose numbers sound outrageous, needs to have a little context added. She has 150 ammo which she can fire for a solid 12.5 seconds. She actually only shoots 12 rounds per second, so bear that in mind when I tell you her stats. To the body, her potential was 900 total. On the PTR, that's now 1200, and if you could ever hit all 150 bullets to the head, she would now do 2850 damage, up from 2550. Now again, these numbers are at the absolute optimal output. In real matches, you wouldn't get this kind of performance, particularly with ORISA, but what is for certain is that they're all better at punching through that armor in a shorter scale of time, which is very, very important. Now, I'm not going to list every character in the game's stats against new armor because we'd be here all day, but if any single damage source hit is above 6, or if it can headshot to take it over that number, it will be improved against new armor because it will be more than double the new modifier of -3. Remember, Discord and damage amps will affect these numbers too, as will effects like Bastion's Ironclad and ORISA's Fortify, which happen before the armor modifier. That's really key to know. Armor's damage reduction effects always come last. If you'd like to see a useful visual aid, the Reddit user Clumsy Lee posted an excellent graph which you can use for quick reference to see who benefits in terms of DPS increases against new armor. I'll link the original post in the description so you guys can go and check it out. I suppose the final thing to talk about is whether or not I like the change and what I think might happen as a result. Well, one thing I do like is how the change interacts with skill. The nuance of Hammond and Tracer's body shots not being changed, but the headshots yielding better results is one that rewards player skill in a very satisfying way, and overall we have been talking about the problems lots of armor brings to Overwatch, even coming up with hero concepts in the past that confront this directly, or following up on community ideas like Seagull's suggestion that Reaper should have armor penetration on his shotguns. Many of you watching will know the elephant in the room is the prevalence of multi-tank, multi-heal at the top levels of the game, and Blizzard went a slightly different direction to try and address this. This armor change is a big part of that in our opinion. Well, that and how much self-sustain they gave Reaper, as Liam's video from yesterday tried to point out. In the long run, if there's a mechanic in the game like old armor that can be used in certain comps to make specific damage sources basically irrelevant, that's probably not that good of a thing. So I'm cautiously optimistic that the change to armor will work in the game's favor. What is really important is how the change affects how quickly you can chew through armor. Speed is of the essence, because once a tank or a bunch of tanks, like in Goat's comp, don't have armor health, then actually taking them out can happen very swiftly. This change is designed to allow more damage sources to punch through that vulnerability barrier more efficiently. And seeing as a lot of the characters that are seeing improvements are also better at poke, I cannot help but think that this has all been done to help heroes and damage sources that want to avoid goats and punish it, rather than try and go toe to toe in some giant brawl. Roadhog and Reaper perhaps being some notable exceptions. I know from reading our comments section in the past few days that some tank players are convinced the end is nigh. I don't think it'll be quite that bad, but I guess we will have to wait and see what happens when these changes hit the main server, if indeed they all do. Let me know in the comments section if you found this video useful and whether or not you think the changes to armor are good for the game. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please don't forget to leave a rating. If you never want to miss another video of ours again, please click the bell icon next to the subscribe button to join the notification squad. You'll be in great company. And finally, please follow the Your Overwatch Twitter. It's where you can find updates about new videos and other cool stuff. I've been Eddie the Chump, and until next time.